tourists causing a nuisance, walking out in the middle of the road to get your perfect snap.
Tourists were harassing Mycos. They now have no foreigner zones. That was very uncomfortable. Man up, walk away, find someone else who wants to be in your picture. It's that easy. Hey, podcast kittens, it's Cathy Cat.
Hey, Ladybeard, coming at you with another knee-nudging episode of Cat with Beard. What are we talking about today, my friend?
Well, we had a massive influx of tourists to Japan. Massively. We've broken records, and it has started to cause some problems.
Oh, dear.
First, Japan was like, please come here, stay here, please come over here. All hotels are empty. We have so many cool things to go to. Please come over here. And now a lot of people are starting to say, oh, don't.
Please leave. Please don't come. Please leave.
Not that
it's
many.
Enough.
Please, we're
That
like at
is
capacity.
Enough.
So.
It really has been, like, recently, since the end of the old Panini, like walking around places like Shinjuku, it's a good 50% foreigner. You really are like, what happened?
A lot of things have changed. And the problem, I think, partially is because everyone seems to go to the same places. Yeah. So they get a little bit overcrowded. Well, there are wonderful places in the countryside of Japan. They're like, where are the people? We'd love them here. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a bit of an imbalance, probably also caused by social media and recommendations where people keep recommending the same things. And everyone's like, yes, I need to go there and see that. That's my must-have on my travel list. Mm-hmm. Hence why some problems started. And also the yen is cheap. So a lot of people who are coming now are different. And I know this because I interview people on the streets of Tokyo. And usually over the last couple of years, we had a lot of people who were like some sort of connection to Japan, some interest in Japan. They've done their research on Japan. They watched Ask Japanese videos. That's why they also was like, hey, I know you. I've done my research, right? That's how you know. While recently, a lot of the people I interviewed, they were all the first time in Japan. It was all their first time. They had never been before, and they might not even have done some research. Some did, respect to those, and some were just like, yeah, it's just one of the places. Next, I go to another Asian country. Like, it just seemed to like a checklist they're going through, which I think is a real shame because Japan has so much to offer. And if you do just a little bit of research, you are going to do fine. But if you don't do a little bit of research, things happen that will upset the Japanese public.
So let's get involved. What's been upsetting the Japanese public from this wave of tourism?
The list of unpopularity of things that it's just, I think before, if it was just a couple of people and it did that, it was okay. But now because it's so many people, it's getting out of hand. One of them being littering.
Littering, big old problem. Big old problem.
Japan has less trash cans than other countries have.
It has no public trash cans, eh?
A lot of areas don't have any.
And next to the vending machine and then the convenience store, and then that's all.
Yes. A lot of people are used in their country to have trash cans everywhere to avoid littering. And a lot of people don't find the trash cans here because there are not many trash cans, let's be honest. You're supposed to carry that with you and then get rid of it in your hotel. Or if you bought something from a family mart, return it to the same family mart. Like, return it to the convenience store where you got it from. Little hint for you there. Pet bottles, so the ones you drink from, you can usually return right next to the vending machines again. That's fine too. But everything else becomes a problem because you have to carry it around with you. That's specifically, for example, awkward things like ice in a tumbler. Like you had like a latte and it still has ice in it, or you had a boba tea and it still has ice and left of boba. You don't want to put that in your backpack.
Yeah, of course.
But you don't want to carry it around all day. In theory, if you should bring it back to where you got it from, but by that point, you might not
be there anymore.
So now that gets awkward. So boba was actually the first problem because people put their boba things just randomly in places
they
like
just leave it in a place and walk away.
They just say, leave it on a wall or something. So the boba became a problem with people leaving the boba stuff. But now one person has left their boba. Another one will do that. The third one will do it. And then lots of people will just leave their trash and just want this random pile and upset people because that's their house. So
there's a problem having a boba tea on your house. You
don't want to have like a huge trash thing right in front of your place all of a sudden. Especially Shibuya is always struggling with this. Shibuya is having a big problem with that. Now you can argue, why don't you put up more trash cans? there was the theory that I heard is if you put off trash cans, you actually have more problems with it because everyone will put their trash there. Because if you've been running around with your trash and they've been running around with trash and 500 other people have been running around with their trash and they see this one trash can, they're like, ah ha ha! So trash can gets full, then people start littering all around the trash can and there becomes a huge pile of trash because of the absence of trash cans.
But then don't you have a rubbish bin removal man who comes and empties the rubbish bin?
Well, if you think about Shibuya, there's millions of people going for Shibuya, and if you put up like 10 trash cans, you'd have to change that out every 10 minutes.
In I think it was in Hong Kong. I can't remember if it was Hong Kong or Australia, so I apologize. I'm not trying to offend anyone. But there was a beach I went to, and there was a rubbish bin every 20 meters on this beach because they knew that it was just going to be if there were not a rubbish bin within a couple of meters. It'd just be finish the cigarette and chuck it and just finish the drink and chuck it.
Littering.
The beach would be horrendous. That's a beach as well. So it gets washed into the ocean and kills the fish and everything. So
since Japan is such a cleanly country, littering is such a problem. People will come here and all of my street interviews will always say, oh my God, Japan is so clean. But it's clean because everyone doesn't litter. That's why it's so clean.
That's exactly right. So
that's because the majority of Japanese people does not litter. So if the tourists come in and start littering, guess who it looks bad on? Everyone.
100%. And also it makes the place less clean and it's just gross. So don't litter when you come to Japan.
Yeah, you will literally just get yourself a little plastic bag, put in your trash and carry it around with you. I am currently carrying my trash with me. I will have to find a trash can sometime soon. Sometimes it's you carrying something around with you all day. Might even smell a bit fishy if it contains some sort of fish. You got to carry it around with you because that's just how it goes here.
I don't like being referred to as trash.
Oh, no, you mean you. I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure that I can't carry you, even if I wanted to. I think I'm lacking the physical ability.
Let's move on. What's number 2?
Taking photos everywhere. Even if there is a sign, please do not take photos. That is really annoying. Like, there's a reason why they put those signs there. The most annoying non-picture taken, I think, is when they do it at shrines or temples. If they say this, like usually a lot of temples or shrines will have an area where you can take pictures. And then if you go to the core of it, which is the holy part of it, you're not supposed to take pictures. That's just common sense. That's like walking in a tiny tube top into a church. Don't do it.
Yeah, it's just respectful, isn't it?
It's like, you don't do it. That's when you're just like, come on, there is a reason why there's a no take pictures. If you accidentally do that, hey, okay, accidents happen. But if you see it and you still do it, you're being very disrespectful.
I remember when I went to the Palace of Versailles outside Paris and going past the cathedral part of the palace. It's just the gate to it. It looks immaculate. And the gate to it is just nothing but cameras. And I'm like, this was once a place for religious worship, and now it's just a studio to be photographed, right? So I'm like, all right. So don't do that. Leave people's religion alone. Yeah.
I mean, like, it's the same thing. If you go to Italy, there's a lot of wonderful churches and they will have signs of like, please do not come in if you dress like this or that. It's disrespectful. That is just as simple. Just bring something to put on top, even if it's hot outside. That same thing in Japan. They will not tell you, don't wear this. They'll just tell you, don't take a picture of the inside of the shrine. It's holy, unless you have a permission to.
Number 3, talking loudly. This one's for Ladybeard, isn't it?
I mean, it means mostly on the train.
Yeah, again, the train is an important place.
The train is a conflict point in Japan. It is a lot of people in a very small space. You're in everyone's private space already. So if you're already invading this private space through your ears or through the ears, not so good.
And also, as we've discussed this before, but everyone's just stressed out of their mind on the train. Most of the time, they're either going to work or coming from work. So it's a bad time to be disturbing people. So.
Everyone's like, oh, wow, Japanese people are so quiet on the train. That's because they're keeping to themselves, because they're trying to just get through that train and then get on with their lives. I must say, I was a bit shocked when I went back to Germany because I found everyone was so loud, not just voice-wise. Everyone was just In Japan, everyone just does their thing. You look at your phone and you try not to bother anyone. Well, in Germany on the train, it's like this couple over there making out, this guy shouting, one having really loud headphones on, one guy going past and hitting all the back of their backrests.
Clanging things.
Clanging things. Someone else pulling out an instrument. I'm like, wow, this is so much central overload for me right now coming from Japan. Riding trains are way more crowded. It works in Tokyo because people know what to do. That same thing you being just that one person with the loud earphones, you stand out amongst everyone suddenly because you're the only one who's loud.
100%.
And that's when, especially people who talk really loudly with their friends will stand out.
So keep your voice down when in Japan.
But I must say, a lot of foreigners, I think if you have some sort of social understanding and you can read a room, you'll notice most of the people that I interview, they will say, oh, and then I noticed that I was being really loud and I tuned it down. So if you have common sense, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, and don't answer your phone on the train. That's another thing. That's very rude.
Don't do that.
That's very rude.
That's very rude. Again, there are certain areas on the train where you're allowed to talk, but most trains don't have those areas. So just wait for your call. Or maybe a lot of Japanese people will step out of the train. If you're in Tokyo and you're on the Yamanote, the next one comes in 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
You can step out for a stop, have that phone call, and then go back on.
Number 4. This is interesting. Entering shops or getting on the train whilst you are wet from the rain.
I think it's a difficult one.
Because the rain falls from the sky, and if you were not prepared, you're wet, and it's hard to do too much about it. So what's the Japanese solution to this? Shiori, what's the Japanese approach to I'm wet, now what?
I can only think of one thing before the one when you go into a store, there is usually some sort of plastic bag in which you put your umbrella that will then make sure that all that wetness drips into that plastic bag, which then again, though, on an eco side of things is very questionable because everyone just has these random plastic bags and then afterwards you throw them away and you go to the next store, get a plastic bag, throw it away again. But that's kind of etiquette. Recently, they started to having things where you kind of like just brush off your umbrella. This like clothy thing. That's maybe a little bit better. But what do you do on the train if you're wet?
It's not about the wet umbrella. Yourself is wet. Like, you don't use, I'm saying you, but like a lot of foreigners, they don't use umbrellas as often as us.
So you just get wet and you get on the train wet.
Yeah, so when we get caught in the rain, we always use umbrellas, even if it's just a like slight rain or just the wet is kind of, the air is still like wet. We always use umbrellas to prevent getting wet.
Good boy.
But then like for like it's like small amount of rain, like most of the foreigners don't use umbrellas.
Especially British people. I'm sorry, I come from the UK. A little bit of rain's nothing. You just put up the hood, it's fine. You close your outside clothes, get wet, you don't care. Like in the UK, I've seen that a lot. But in Japan, even like strong looking guys, the moment there's a little bit of rain, they're like, oh, let me put up my umbrella.
Yeah, so imagine you are on a really crowded train and there's someone covered in water jumps in. It's kind of disturbing.
Yeah,
That's what we are
and
talking
then your
about.
shoulder gets wet from being pushed against them. That makes no sense.
I see. All right. And then the floor is all wet from where he dripped everywhere. Yeah, okay, I understand. All right. So bring your umbrella.
Buy one here. They have great umbrellas here.
They have them everywhere as well.
Like, I always carry like a small brolly with me, like one of those foldable ones. And it's tiny. It fits into any kind of bag. It even fits into your man bag if you have one. And it just saves you a lot of hassle. Also, it will protect you from the sun. Some of them will.
Number 5, this is interesting. Trying to speak only in their own language.
Sorry, but that's generally an English typical thing. If your native language is English, a lot of people expect that Japanese people also speak English.
I see.
And then they will just say it and the Japanese person will say, I don't understand. And they will say it louder in English.
I see.
Which is not the point. If they don't speak English, they don't speak English. Don't take it for granted. Don't think that you can speak English everywhere. It might work in other countries, does not work necessarily in Japan. Even if you speak slower, even if you speak louder, if that person doesn't speak English, you can't just randomly hammer that into them.
Number 6, sitting on the road. I don't understand. Like the bit that the cars drive on, you sit down there?
No, that one that took me some time to understand. When I the first time came, I realized no one sits down on the road. Like sometimes you just sit with your mates on the road and you have like a chat and you drink some tea and something like that. You don't do that in Japan, right? Have you ever seen Japanese people just sit on the road?
Sit down on the ground. Only in environments where it's considered acceptable. I've seen people do that like at the live house and whatnot.
Yeah, that's again already you're inside a venue. You're not out on the road.
Yeah, it's very rare to see it on the road. Something would have to be going wrong.
You don't sit on the street in Japan. And I got a very good explanation for that made so much sense. Because think about it. What's the first thing when you enter a Japanese house? You take off your shoes.
Sure.
Because to keep it clean. The Japanese society is very clean. There's a lot of like clean aesthetic. And if you take off your shoes before you go into someone else's house, because that's what you walked on the street, if you sit there with your jeans on the dirty ground where like millions of people have been walking over, like maybe spitting on there, maybe whatever. And then with those jeans, you sit on your friend's couch or sofa. That's so offensive. You might as well be putting your shoes on their sofa. That's, I think, again, it's culture, but it makes sense if you think about it.
If you're in Kyoto, they'll definitely show you the get the duck out.
Oh, yeah, you'll get the duck out very fast if you did that.
Very quickly. Number 7, not asking for permission. So we discussed this previously.
Generally, that's number 1. Ask for permission if you take pictures of photos or if you go somewhere.
Can I go over there? You know, can I go over that little bit of the garden? Because a lot of the time that thing is kind of discouraged. If other people are not doing it, you might want to just make sure you're allowed to do it before you do it.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, can I sit here? Is that seat maybe reserved for something? You just ask for permission. A lot to get that with pictures. I think that's the problem. A lot of people seeing Japan like this tropical zoo and they're like, ooh, let me take all them cool pictures in Japan of all of these crazy Japanese people. Woohoo! Those are nuisance photographers or like picture takers and stuff because they just treat people like it was a zoo. Japan's not a zoo. People have very, very strict things about not wanting to be on your picture. So you need to ask them, 写真いいですか? 動画いいですか? 配信いいですか? Those 3. Picture, okay? Or you can even try it in English. You can go, picture, okay? Like that's very simple. Okay, everyone understands. Picture, okay? If you can't speak any Japanese, video, okay? You know, or like whatever. Stream might be bit difficult, but like stream, haishin,
I think you say video, okay.
Video, okay. Stream, okay. You know, just ask. I did ii desu ka? Or just remember ii desu ka? Sorry, I'm getting very passionate about this because so many people just like will randomly treat girls in fashion as if they are their entertainment. And I've seen it so many times that there's a girl who's like, oh, I'm wearing this Harajuku fashion for the very first time and I'm really nervous, but I'm going to go shop and meet my friends. I'm looking forward to it. And then there are these tourists who are like, hey, taking lots of pictures of her, maybe even put their arm around her. And she's not ready for that because this is not a touchy, we take advantage of your outfit society. She's not there for your entertainment. She's there because she wants to go to Harajuku and have time with her friends. So some people, I had one of my friends, she literally got dragged by this lady into her picture and she's like, what is wrong with you? Well, a Japanese person or a young Japanese girl, she might not have the power and, you know, the feeling that she can speak up. So it will make a lot of people feel uncomfortable. That's another reason why a lot of Harajuku people started going to different areas of Tokyo to hang out because they got tired of it. So you see less people sometimes dress up and a lot of people in the fashion community were like, I'm not going there. The tourists are so rude.
Harajuku is not what it was 10 to 20 years ago.
It's not what it was anymore.
It's now just a tourist trap and all the colorful things there were put there for the tourists.
Yeah,
and now the genuine, colorful, interesting people have all dispersed. What, Shimokitazawa?
I think going or Koenji, like people are trying to avoid that now because
Koenji's great, man. I love Koenji. What a place. Yeah,
Koenji's awesome. But that's the problem that a lot of tourists just started treating other people as if they are their entertainment and for their pictures. Like it is, if you want to smile, go over, say, you look great. Can I take a picture? And if they say yes, you smile, they smile, you get your picture. Double win. If they say no, you say sorry and you go. And again, no one will feel that bad apart from you. And you know what? You can take it. It is not a rejection of your personality. It's a rejection of this girl not wanting to be in your picture. That's how easy it is. Man up. Walk away. Find someone else who wants to be in your picture. It's that easy.
And finally, and last...
I'm not done yet. Not done yet. The reason why I'm so confident...
Can I just point out, when I got passionate and went on a rant, you said to me, I'm trying to say something. And I was met with great discouragement. But I'm going to put my microphone down, Cathy Cat. Take it away.
It affects you. I had this one moment when I stood in Harajuku and I was waiting for the director And I suddenly looked up and I had 30 people making a circle around me of a language I couldn't speak, all of them quiet, taking my picture without my permission. And I, for the first time, I'm used to people taking pictures without permission, but that was like when I felt intimidated. They were all taller. They were all just making the circle around me going like, and I'm like, what the hell? I did not sign up for this. So if even I, who's used to public, like being performance and stuff, felt uncomfortable, put yourself in the shoes of a girl who just wants to wear it to meet her friends.
That was in Japan?
Yep.
Were they
Harajuku
Japanese?
Station.
Were they Japanese people?
No, they were some group of Westerners from some European country. I don't know what their language was. No one ever talked with me. That was very uncomfortable.
I'm sorry you had that experience.
Yeah. That's why. Just ask. It's that easy. Right. Last one.
What's the last one, Cathy? I've gone into listening mode now. Over to you.
Not trying to learn about Japanese rules as easy, which means you didn't watch Ask Japanese videos. You didn't watch this podcast. You didn't do any research before you came.
So you know how to rectify that, don't you?
Watch Ask Japanese videos. Watch this podcast. And then you already know some of the rules. It's that easy. Listen to the podcast.
So let's talk about some famous incidences of tourists causing a nuisance.
Actually, the points we just raised, they were not just randomly picked points, by the way. That was actually from a survey. And it was conducted mid-April on the internet with 500 women aged 18 to 70 all over Japan who were complaining about that. So we didn't make this up. This was actually from a survey.
Let's talk about the famous black curtain.
Tell me about the famous black curtain.
There is a spot there's a Lawson convenience store in where is it exactly?
Somewhere near Mount Fuji.
It's close to Fuji somewhere.
I was recently there and I only just saw this huge black thing.
It's on the edge of the highway, yeah?
Yeah, it's near a highway or like a busier street. I don't quite remember.
From the car park, you get a very nice view of Mount Fuji. And what happened was a tourist came here, took a photo of this view of Mount Fuji, posted on the internet, said, great spot to take a photo of Mount Fuji. Now the place got inundated with tourists taking photos of Mount Fuji. You would think for the business, for the Lawson convenience store, they would encourage this. They'd say, wonderful, lots of customers, here we go. No, because these tourists caused massive problems.
If you just have taken it normally, again, it would have been fine, but
lots of littering, walking out in the middle of the road. To get your perfect snap. All this, lots of, I guess, rambunctious behavior, I guess, loud talking and all the things we just went through. So what they did.
First, they put up warning signs
and
please don't. So they first tried that and I said, people ignored it. So
they put up a giant black tarpaulin so that you can no longer see the view of Fuji. So you can't take a photo.
Yeah.
Which seems like a way to lower your own property value.
I think that brings us back to if a couple of people do something, it might ruin it for everyone kind of thing. So maybe if people were just kept behaving badly, it might have ruined it for everyone. So it's a shame. Would have been a great business. Maybe just put a fence around that Lawson or something.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe just hire a private man or lady or otherwise who says, please don't do that, sir, and just, enforces the rules. Maybe that'd be one way to do it.
But listen, you have to pay someone's salary.
I don't run a convenience store. What do I know? So that was a very famous incident. Kyoto is undergoing all kinds of tourist-oriented problems.
There was a problem before, and that happened already earlier, a couple of years earlier, where tourists were harassing the Maikos, some people, geishas in training. People were harassing the Maikos who wanted to, they are like highly skilled performers and they're trying to get from A to B. You know, they have to be there, they have to perform there. And the tourists kept holding them up, trying to hold them into their pictures. And like, come in our picture. Oh, it's a geisha. Woo, 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 woo. And so that became such a big problem of them being held up and not being able to be on time for work. Also, they're not allowed to speak up for themselves. That's part of the role and of the performer. They can't speak up for themselves, protect themselves. So they couldn't say, look, please leave me alone. They had to just try and avoid them and go to their place. People would still stop them. So that became such a big problem with very big nuisance photographers that they installed a law in the Gion area where most of the Maikos are to say, you're not allowed to take any pictures from here onwards. That was step number one. But it got worse.
How'd it get worse?
people have ignored the signs. We're coming back to that Mount Fuji. People have ignored the signs so much, saying, do not take photos here, do not do this, that they now have created no foreigner zones, I heard, which makes me very sad because I did never take a picture of a Maiko without permission, but now we're there.
It's a little bit 16th, 17th century, isn't it? When Japan shut itself up from the rest of the world and foreigners were only allowed in these specific areas. It's a little bit back to that. Close the nation down. We're getting back to that. I was going to say this. If you are in government or running a business in the tourism industry, you really have a dilemma, don't you? Because these tourists are your customer base. And, you know, you need to take care of your customer base to maintain your economic viability and stability. But then it's your customer base that's causing problems for your staff, your environment, other members of your customer base. You do have a dilemma, don't you, as to how to deal with it?
It's also because Maiko, there's such a high quality standard in Japanese life. Like actually being able to spend time with the real Maiko and her performance, she will have like honed her craft. That's a massive, like only like rich people and CEOs and such actually generally get to spend proper time with a Maiko. So I understand that some people want to find an authentic Maiko, but you're not supposed to take pictures. So apparently even the Isashi Ota, the secretary of Kyoto, they told CNN, I think that foreign tourists waiting for Maiko to come out in the no photography zone in Gion are aware of the no photography rule, but they are ignoring it and no amount of caution will get through. And that's why they reached the point of saying, you know what, we've had it. Because everyone was obviously ignoring it. They even had signs up in different languages and everything. So people were already, no, but I want that picture. And now they ruined it.
Well, yeah, people are crazy about the photos nowadays, aren't they?
It's not. There was this one video, and maybe some of you guys have seen it, is literally this one Karen who is trying to take a picture of that Maiko, and the Maiko's trying to get out of her way. So she follows her, and then she tries to get out of her way. So she follows her. She tries to get out of the way again. She follows her. And it's this zigzag where you're like, woman, read the room. You're being so horrible right now. And that video of that woman got like huge because that just watching that video, you kind of do understand now why they said no.
It's also ironic how Karen sounds similar to caring.
Right. I don't have a comeback.
Because you said Karen and it sounded like you're saying C-A-R-I-N apostrophe. Karen. Karen? Clearly not.
I was trying to make a point.
No, you made your point real well.
Karen was clearly not caring.
So you don't say Karen, you say Karen.
Karen. Karen was not caring.
I have a critique of your accent, I'm sorry.
That's mean. Anyways.
Karin is her name in German, isn't it?
Karin. Karin was not caring. Anyways, so those kind of things are kind of ruined it for everyone now. And that's a shame because I'd like to go and walk through Gion now, but now I have the label of foreigner and I don't think I can go there.
Maybe you could... I'm
scared of that.
Maybe we could wear a Guy Fawkes mask.
Especially not then, I think. Especially then people will not
people would think you're a member of Anonymous.
I wonder though how they again are gonna portray, what was the word for it, patrol that? If they couldn't stop people from taking pictures, how do you stop people from going in now? I'll have a look. I'll go to Kyoto soon, so I'll figure it out.
Security guards, right?
Possibly, yeah. I'm going actually to Bit Summit, Kyoto, so I'll find out. Let's find out.
Bit Summit?
Yeah, Bit Summit.
What's Bit Summit?
It is Japan's biggest indie game.
It sounded like it was involved with cryptocurrency somehow.
Bit Summit. So like a summit of everyone who does games with the bits and the pixels.
I see. The bits and the bytes.
Biggest indie game expo.
Oh, that'll be good.
It's going to be a couple of cool games there. Looking forward to it.
Does that bring us to the end of our Don't Be an Annoying Foreigner Tourist episode?
Is there anything you'd like to add, Shiori?
No.
Restaurants with raised prices. Sorry.
Yeah, that's true. Raised fee for Himeji Castle and then famous lakes in the Hokkaido. They have raised their prices only for tourists.
Only for tourists.
And
there's also a couple of restaurants who will charge foreigners more. So if you sometimes compare the English and the Japanese menu, the English menu might be slightly more expensive.
So that's for tourists. So we're foreigners, but we're not tourists. So if we bust out our Zairyu card does that mean we have to pay tourist price if we pay local price?
I think that depends on whoever is in charge there, right? But I have the feeling we probably don't get special treatment.
Likely not.
I think we do.
All right.
We have to pay more.
If things hadn't been expensive enough, up they go again.
Oh my God.
Happy days.
There's also one more thing. Mount Fuji has now to limit entries because a lot of people are climbing Mount Fuji. And they also changed the fee going up. To be honest, the fee was already pretty low and it is still pretty low. It's 2,000 yen to climb up Mount Fuji, which is cheap. But they also had to limit how many people can go up because it just became this chain of people. Now, I've climbed up Mount Fuji because the mom of my host family wanted to go up Mount Fuji. It was one of her life dreams and I came to support her. So I climbed up 3 times Mount Fuji and the third time we kindly made it. Here's a hint from me to you. Do not go there by yourself. A lot of people saying, I'd like to climb Mount Fuji. No. Like, first of all, now it has to be registered anyway. So join a group. That's what we did. Because if you join a group, first of all, you get the bus that leaves at Shinjuku Station that takes you right there to the stop where you usually start. Then you have a guide who will know the right paths. And you also, before that, have an entire list of the items you need to bring. Do not underestimate Mount Fuji, people. It is a mountain that will be very different. I climbed up there every time in summer when it was incredibly hot. If you reach the top, it's cold. You need to have the right equipment. You need to have a raincoat. You need to have that booking that will be then included in your tour at a mountain hut to sleep and then go up to watch the sunrise. Because if you don't have that booking, that did happen the second year. There was torrential rainfall and we were allowed to go back into the hut because we had that booking and we had slept there. So we were like we ruined the whole floor because obviously we brought in all that mud and I felt very sorry about that. But it was an emergency situation. It was torrential rainfall, suddenly ice cold out there. You could see your breath. And then a lot of people tried to push in because they all wanted to come in because the rain was so strong. And the hut was like, sorry, we're at capacity. So if you weren't in a group, you had to get sent away. A lot of people that day got hypothermia or mountain sickness because they just climbed up for fun and it turned out to not be fun. If you go with the group. The minus part is the group will turn around when the leader thinks it's dangerous, which I had the first 2 years. When the rain is too strong, they will say, I can get you up, but I can't get you down. So you have to follow. Like the second year, I was like, I wanted to climb up by myself. We were so close to the goal. But you have to just go, okay, fine, whatever. He knows more of the mountain than I do. It is for safety. It is definitely for safety for you, for other people, and whatever might happen is frustrating, but it is for the better.
I got to tell you, until right now, I never realized you had to go in a group at all. I never realized you had to take these precautions. I guess thinking about it is a mountain, it is at altitude. I thought you could just go there and just leg it up there and it all came down to your fitness.
It is. A lot of people do get mountain sickness and a lot of people do get hypothermia because they underestimate it. Just think, it's a mountain. I climb up it, I go down. Woohoo! I've climbed a mountain before. It's fine. Don't underestimate Mount Fuji. Mount Fuji is a volcano. It's the tallest mountain in Japan. It is, the temperature up there is cold, while down there you have like it's 37 degrees. You need to be prepared. Didn't
Godzilla come out of Mount Fuji as well? Isn't Godzilla from Fuji, Shiori? Or is he from underneath the sea? Fuji's involved with Godzilla somehow. Doesn't a beam come out of Fuji and it joins up with Godzilla's beam and that's a beam party?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I think you're talking about Kamen Rider.
Oh yeah, okay. Godzilla. Well, let's just go with my story because it's better. Godzilla came out of Fuji, so
yeah, be dangerous. Be careful. You might be bumping into Godzilla. But no, actually, a lot of those equipment things.
This is absurd, isn't it? That was absurd.
Bring your Godzilla spray. I mean, like bring your oxygen.
100%.
Some people will say bring oxygen.
If you get a Godzilla in your ear while you're trying to sleep. That's the worst.
Well, we're totally going off topic here, but yeah. Over-tourism has become a bit of a problem in Japan, but there are wonderful places in Japan you guys should visit. They're a little bit out of where everyone else is going. Trust me, just the most popular things in Japan are not even the best things about Japan. There are many wonderful things if you go out into the countryside and check out Japan.
So, are we encouraging people to come or are we encouraging people not to come?
We're encouraging people to come, but read up on the rules and manners, learn basic Japanese like thank you, please, and can I? Those kind of things will already make your holiday better. Train. Carry your stuff in the backpack. No basic manners. Watch Ask Japanese and listen to this podcast. That's simple.
And on that note, we'll see you next time for another informative and hopefully also entertaining installment of
Cat with Beard.
Be a good tourist.